Hi, this is Trey Passer. Welcome to my spoilers review of Spider-Man: No Way Home. Okay, again, this is one of my most anticipated movies, and it really delivered to me, in my opinion. We got to see all three Spider-Man in this movie, which was kind of the worst kept secret ever. That we got, you got all three Spider-Man in this movie, which is great. You got to see all the villains. You got to see Electro, Sandman, right? Electro, Sandman, uh, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and who else? And the Lizard. Okay, so we got all five of those villains in there, and I liked again Alfred Molina, who plays Doc Ock. I always loved his performance in that second movie because it really resonated with me. His performance, I think that was one of the best portrayals of a villain. I think in that movie, he was just so sympathetic, his character, and it was good to see him in this movie. And see, again, I thought he more than delivered as Doc Ock. And he was in the first action scene, real big action scene in this movie where he on that bridge. I thought that scene was absolutely fantastic, where he was fighting Spider-Man on that, and of course he thought that was his Spider-Man. Of course it wasn't. It was Peter Spider-Man. And I like the way the movie began with with him, everybody knowing that he's Spider-Man, and he's trying to live his life with everybody knowing that he's Spider-Man, and it's crazy, and how this whole thing evolved to what it is because he went to Doctor Strange to see if Doctor Strange could do a spell and to get everybody to forget that he's Spider-Man. But then he kept trying to make exceptions to the rules as he was doing the spell, and then he just screwed everything up where all these villains that died in those movies kept coming to this universe. Okay, and Doctor Strange was gonna try to send them back, but Peter again, after speaking with Aunt May, and I think I like Marissa Tomei, her character got to do a bit more in there, and she basically tried to tell him, listen, Peter, you can help these people instead of just sending them back to their fate where they just die. Even though Doctor Strange wanted to do that, he said they're dead. That's their fate to die. But Tobey Maguire wanted to, not Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland's Peter Parker wanted to say, he wanted to help them, and especially after there was a good moment when the Green Goblin had came through. And there was a scene of Willem Dafoe, who I think is probably one of the MVPs in this movie. He had a scene where he was like, he had that split personality thing, and he was talking to the mask, and the mask was telling him he's weak and stuff, and he smashed it. And then he went to that the clinic that Aunt May ran and worked at, and he was, she called him over there to help him, and then she was trying to tell, listen, you can help these people instead of just sending them back to their fate. And that's when he got to the conflict with Doctor Strange. He had a absolutely fantastic fight on a bunch of trains and weird universes and all this stuff. When he was fighting Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange was trying to get that use that box to send them back. The box they came out, I forgot what he called it, to send them back, send the villains back. And Peter wanted to help them, and then Doctor Strange got basically stuck in that thing, and Peter came back out, and he was trying to help the villains and stuff, which was really unique. He was trying to help them, cure them so they wouldn't have to die. And he told them, listen, because he had to capture them first, and he told and there was some great scenes with him capturing all the individual villains, and then he was telling them, listen, instead of just sending you back to die, your fate, you would die. I'm gonna help you, okay? And then that's when William Dafoe's cat. There was a great scene, and when they go back to Happy's apartment, that's where Peter is staying. He's hiding out in Happy's apartment, which is really high tech and everything, and he has all these equipment where he's actually experimenting with to actually work on these devices to cure all the villains and then send them back so that way they wouldn't die. And then William Dafoe's character, because he cures Doc Ock first, where Doc, because I think the thing that he had in his neck that would control the arms, which got out of control, and the arms had a mind of their own, and they were controlling him. They actually fixed that device, which was damaged, so he could fight, so he can control the stuff. And so he became he was more normal now. And then when he went to try to help the other people, and that's when Green Goblin, he was actually faking it. And William Dafoe, he was scared. I thought he was scary in that original Spider-Man movie, but he was even more intense and crazy in this movie. And really, this shows William Dafoe was just a great actor. I'm surprised he still hasn't won an Oscar yet, which is a shame because William Dafoe is so talented. But he really killed it, because there's a great scene where Peter, the way they shot it, where Peter is, he's realizing that that what you call it is that Green Goblin is really, you know, it's not really Norman Osborn. It's really the Green Goblin, and they have this fight through the apartment, and it's an intense fight where they're slamming through floors and just slamming each other, and all the rest of the villains go crazy and escape, so they don't get cured, and it's an intense fight, and which leads to Aunt May. Aunt May, who again, Mr. Tomei, I thought she was really good in this, and unfortunately, she passed away. At first, I thought they were gonna kill her. And then, they scene when she got up, like it looked like she was underneath this piles of rock, but then she got up, and then I thought, okay, she's okay, but then when she laid down, he laid her down, and then he saw that she was bleeding from from her side or something, and then she was like saying, I just want to rest, I just want to rest. And Tom Holland was breaking your heart when she was just dying, and she just passed away, and that was just so heartbreaking. Oh my God, it was just so heartbreaking. That part was, it really, it just chills you to the bone when she passed away, and then of course and then again one of the largest cheering parts in the theater was when Peter. When the other Spider-Man showed up, when Andrew Garfield showed up first, he showed up first because they were looking for Spider-Man, and Ned had that little, I guess the little bracelet that Doctor Strange used to open up the portals and stuff, and he was using that to try to find out where Peter was, where his Peter is Tom Holland, but he actually was not Tom Holland, was Andrew Garfield's who actually came first. And what was funny was they would try, and Zendaya was telling him, prove yourself. Mary Jane said, prove yourself. He said, listen, I'm not going to crawl on the wall. And then he wound up crawling on the wall in the house. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Okay, and then he did it again, and then of course Tobey Maguire Spider-Man came, and again more loud cheers. Again, those are two really high people were just cheering like crazy. I like that feeling. People in the theater was saying yes. Yeah, we got to see Spider, because everybody, like I said, everybody knew they were in the movie. It was just a matter of when they were going to show up in the movie. So that was good, and I like I like those moments where people cheer, because those are moments that people are looking forward to, and they didn't disappoint to me. Okay, and so you get the three Spider-Man together, and they went to actually find, they were talking about looking for their version of Peter Parker, and Peter Parker said, listen, this is where I went when I was feeling low, and Andrew Garfield said, this is where I went. And that was a nice moment with them. And then they figured out where Tom Holland's Spider-Man was, and they went to him, and they introduced him to the other Spider-Man and stuff, and they talked about their loss too, about Andrew Garfield talking about his loss of Gwen Stacy, and Tobey Maguire of Uncle Ben, okay, and just really those are some good moments, and them working together to come up with a plan to lure all the villains out and stuff, and cure them and send them back to their universes. That whole sequence was great, and there was an intense fight. Again, William Dafoe is Green Goblin. He just so, oh my God, he just owned that part, and he was just so evil, and there was an intense fight when he was like beating the crap. He was like literally Tom Holland, because the Green Goblin was responsible for Aunt May dying, so he was like literally beating the crap. It looked like he was just throwing those haymakers. He wasn't holding back, beating the living crap out of the Green Goblin until Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man came down and grabbed him and stopped him from doing that. And then Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man got stabbed. I said, oh my God, they won't kill him all. I thought, they're gonna kill. Then he got stabbed by the Green Goblin, and then Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man threw to Tom Holland, the cure to inject into Green Goblin and take away his madness, and that was just again such great moments in this movie, and Doctor Strange wound up coming at the end, towards the end and stuff, and he figured out, or at least Tom Holland, the Spider-Man, figured out that, listen, if we can get everybody to forget that Peter Parker, forget who Peter Parker is, then everything will go back to normal, okay? And that's what he did. So he had to tell MJ and Ned that, listen, he's gonna cast another spell, and everybody's gonna forget that I'm Peter Parker, okay, and everything that goes with it. So, and of course, he said his goodbyes. And like I said in my other spoiler-free review, the chemistry between Zendaya and Tom Holland, I could really, really feel it in this movie. I really I felt their love in this movie. I really did. And there's another great moment in this, among other great moments, but there's a moment where MJ is she's at first they're at Doctor Strange. I think they're right there in Doctor Strange. Is it a place? I think they're at Doctor Strange's place, or we're at Ned's house. But in any event, they open up the portal and they actually come through to where because they're the big final sequences at the not the Empire State Building, at the Statue of Liberty, and they actually come through there and they're being chased. And there's a moment where there's a big explosion and MJ falls from the thing, and Tom Holland goes to save her, but he can't get there because Green Goblin cuts him off. But Andrew Garfield sees it. His Spider-Man sees it, and then he goes and he actually saves her. He dives and he catches MJ and lands with her. And you can see the emotion that you saw in in Andrew Garfield's face was so good. That moment, that is the moment that I'm going to play over and over again. That moment where he actually saved MJ, because if you remember, like I said, in his movie, he didn't get to change. He tried to save Gwen Stacy, but he wound up, she wound up snapping her neck when when she was falling, and he sent the web to snatch her, and then it snapped her neck. That sudden stop snapped her neck. And so the emotion he had on his face when he actually saved MJ was just so good, because Zendaya said, he said, "I got you," and she said, "Thank you, thank you." And then you see the look on his face, like he was like so emotional. That look on his face was so emotional. That moment is priceless. And that moment I gotta watch over and over again. That moment, because you could just and see, that's the great thing about, I guess, about having the three Spider-Man, that you could see that great moment, that when he caught her, the look of relief, the emotional moment that he had on his face, that he was able to save her, was so that just, it got to me. It got me in the feels right there. It really got me in the feels. And also there was a funny moment too where because you remember in the original Spider-Man movie, he shoots the webs. He doesn't need web form, but he shoots the webs out of his body. And the other Spider-Man were weirded out by Tobey Maguire. Said, "How do you do that? How do you do it without thinking? Where does it come from? Do you get blockage?" I thought that was hilarious too. And there's a moment where he cracks Andrew Garfield's cracks Tobey Maguire's back, because he said, "Oh, my back is killing it." And he picks him up and he cracks his back. He said, "Oh, thank you." That, again, just little moments like that just made me smile and just absolutely love it. And God, and I like the bro hug at the end after they saved everything, and Tom Holland he hugged both the other Spider-Man. It was great. And then he went to say goodbye to MJ and everything else, and then those two days say goodbye to each other, and just such a great movie. And just and then at the end, like after everything is over and everybody's forgotten that he's forgotten about Peter Parker, and he goes into the coffee shop where MJ works, and he sees Ned, he sees her, and he has because he promised her that he would come to her and explain who he was, but he doesn't do it. He folds a piece of paper back in his pocket and says some words to her, but he doesn't tell her that that about everything that happened, and then he walks out. And then you see the scene of him, sweeping through the city, and then that's how it goes off, and it's just, kind of bittersweet. But I think eventually he's gonna tell her, or I don't know if she's gonna remember, but if they make it how she remembers somehow. But I don't think we've seen the last of their love story. I think it's gonna continue. But you know how sometimes these Spider-Man movies end on a somber note, and this one kind of ended on that somber note with him reversing everything and sending everybody back and stuff, and everybody forgetting that he's Spider-Man and stuff, but he doesn't have his best friend, or his girlfriend anymore, and his Aunt May has died. So it always ends that way. So this movie, I guess, really kind of matured Tom Holland's Spider-Man in a way, and there was that great scene where they when they're first fighting at the Statue of Liberty, they're getting their behinds handed to them because they don't know how to fight as a team. But then they decide to fight as a team, and Tom Holland goes, listen, Peter Parker goes, listen, I fought with the Avengers, and then, of course they don't know who Avengers are in their universe, which was hilarious. I think Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man said, "Is that a band?" Or something? He said, "No." And remember, he's the only one that had experienced Tom Holland fighting with Avengers, so he knows how to fight as a team. So he said, "I'll be Spider-Man number 1, you be Spider-Man number 2, you be Spider-Man number 3, and we coordinate our attacks like that way." I thought that was really good and really smart to do that, and it really worked out. Just really fantastic. I love this movie. Again, I gave it a 9 out of 10 because I really just thoroughly enjoyed it. Brought a smile to my face. Anyway, there's 2 after credit scenes. There's one scene with Venom, Tom Hardy's character in it. Okay, like I said, I haven't seen the second Venom movie, which I gotta watch, so that's why it would make more sense to me if I seen it, because I know they said there's an after credit scene in there. But he's in it, so we know he's in that universe now. And then the second after credit scene is more like a preview of Doctor Strange 2, it's more like a preview of that, of the multiverse and stuff. We got to see Wanda, and we got to see an evil Doctor Strange. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that comes out comes out next year, Doctor Strange? I think it may. I think it may. It may be 2023. But I think for some reason I think it's next year. But I have to check that. But that was good. It was more like a preview of Doctor Strange 2, because you see Doctor Strange going to Wanda and saying that he needs her help and stuff. And it's not about what she did in Westville, on her show about that, but it's about the multiverse. And again, we got to see him face off against another version of Doctor Strange and stuff. So it's more like a preview of Doctor Strange 2. And they said at the end, Doctor Strange will return, which we knew. Again, his movie will be in the next movie with multiverse in it. Okay, so anyway, I loved it. Anyway, let me know what you think of of Spider-Man No Way Home. What do you think of it? Is it your favorite? Again, to me, it delivered on all counts to me. I absolutely loved it. Loved the Spider-Man, loved the interactions, the other Spider-Man, love all the villains in it. And again, Doc Ock, Alfred Molina, and William Dafoe. Oh my God, they absolutely killed it. As William Dafoe was actually scary, and he was really good in this. William Dafoe and Alfred Molina, who I always loved from his portrayal in the second Spider-Man movie, just really loved it. And William Dafoe really was the top villain in this. And there was one key moment with Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man, and Electro, Jamie Foxx, where he actually he pulled off his mask so he could see him, and he said, "Listen, I always thought that maybe you were black because you live in Queens, you help the disadvantaged and stuff," and so that was sort of a shout out to Miles Morales, who he has this next movie coming up, this next 2 movies coming up, and hopefully they'll definitely be doing a live action version of Miles Morales. I can't wait for that live action version of Miles Morales. I think that's another movie that's gonna hit. But that was like a nice little Easter egg to that, which I thought was nice. Anyway, let me know what you think. Feel free to leave comments down below. I have links to my social media in the description box, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also have a link to my other channel, Love Views and Opinions, if you check that out as well. Also have a link down below to my Patreon, and I want to say a special thank you to my patron. His name will appear in this video somewhere. I want to say thank you to him for supporting me and always having my back. And also, my patron has unedited TV show reactions on there. Have tons of unedited TV show reactions. I got WandaVision, Loki, What If, The Flash Season 8, Hawkeye. I have Stargirl Season 1, Stargirl Season 2, The Mandalorian Season 2, The Boys Season 2, Superman and Lois, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, all 4 parts of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I will be doing, Doom Patrol Season 3 and Titan Season 3. And I'll also be doing Boba Fett series, which I believe begins on the 29th of December. And also Superman and Lois, which begins on January 11th. So those will be the next 2 shows after, because Hawkeye ends this week. Okay, and there's a break now between, I think, the Flash, the 6th episode, it will start until, I think, either February or March. Okay, there's a break in there before we get to see new episodes of The Flash Season 8. So, anyway, follow the link down below to the Patreon. And again, give this video a thumbs up. It helps the channel, and I truly appreciate it. And this is Trey Pastor saying so long, and take care.